Chester Cheddargetter for Eye on the Mice News, reporting live from Granite Park in Prescott, Arizona this sunny Sunday afternoon, where much of the community has gathered here today in support of the Granite Park Mosaic Bench Project, which has screeched to a halt this weekend.
Am I on the news? Is that the news?
And it appears we have with us here today a gentleman in a spotted jumpsuit with horns.
Well, I'm
sir,
not just a gentleman.
Who are you, and what have you to do with this project here?
I come from a long line of rodeo cows here in Prescott. I was born here. Can I give you a little tour of this structure here? I'm also an engineer. Would you want your children seeing this? See, look at him. He's about to get eaten by a spider. Or no, that's actually the sun, I think. So like I think he's trying to destroy the sun. I think that's what he's doing. I wouldn't want my kids looking at it. I get phone calls all the time about things like this.
There's too much happening in this town. There's too much color, expression.
Yeah, there's way too much color and expression, and it's all like communist forces behind it. So like.
This is Chester Cheddargetter with Eye on the Mice News, reporting live from Granite Park here in Prescott, Arizona, where we've gathered here today to cover a community outpouring in support of the Granite Park Mosaic Bench Project, which was initiated by a local college student and mosaic artist, Kristen Anthony, who is here with me today. Kristen, can you give us a brief overview of the issue here with your project?
Yeah, so I'll just start out by saying like the overall intention of the project was to bring the community together and give them a space to express themselves however they wanted to. I mean, the only suggestion I gave was like whatever comes to your heart first, and that's what they put on. I didn't say anything about putting any specific symbols on. That being said, some religious symbols were placed on here, and I personally put prayer flags up and a Buddha, and that offended a few people in town who made some phone calls to the Parks and Recs and the mayor's office, and they said, how could you support something like this? Because it sounded like there was a radio program too. I can't say specifically what was said because we don't have documentation of that, but it was clear that there are people who were offended specifically by religious symbols that were on here, and overnight it turned from a religious expression issue to a safety issue, which is obviously very fishy, and almost overnight we were asked to tear the bench down, and after a flood of phone calls came into the Parks and Recs and the mayor's office, they changed their mind and said, okay, we won't tear it down, but now they're asking us to take off all the tiles and replace them with neutral ones. And the reasons they gave were related to safety and functionality and maintenance. And I think it's pretty clear to most of us that this started out as an issue over some of the expressions on the bench, and that those reasons are pretty unrelated. So that's where we're at right now.
I have with me here today former Prescott Mayor Jack Wilson. Tell us, Jack, what brings you down to Granite Park and the Mosaic Bench this afternoon?
I came down here because originally the concerns about this bench had to do with the religious symbols. The city received complaints, I understand, from the Potter's House about both the peace symbol on it and the Buddha statue on it, and that has morphed into safety concerns. And I really think what they're really talking about is not a safety issue whatsoever, since this is an unfinished bench. If we sand it down and put some grout on it, it can be safe. We have experts that have already said that. So I think we should get the real issue out of the table, which is a religious concern, which is constitutionally protected. And I think the citizens should be aware of this and stand up for what we really believe in, which is art in our community.
what is it exactly that the city or constituencies within the city are asking for here at this point in this bench, Mosaic bench project?
The person that put it together, the project leader, Christian Anthony, has been told to take off all the tiles on the bench, and those tiles were put up by 200 volunteers over a 7-week period. If you do that, you basically take the heart and soul of that bench away, and that's crazy. So I think what we really need to do is make this an issue of freedom of expression, freedom of religion. Our country was founded on those principles, and we should stand up for them today.
Well, thank you, Jack Wilson. Would you like to leave any personal comment with our audience?
I think more people need to come down here and take a look at this bench and see why it is something that can bring the community together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack. That was former Prescott Mayor Jack Wilson giving us his opinion. And as he said, more people in this community should come down here to Granite Park, where this Mosaic Bench project has been going on and being constructed for the past 7 or 8 weeks. We have here with us at the moment another local mosaic artist, Mary Schulte. Mary, can you tell our audience what brings you out to Granite Park and this Mosaic Bench gathering today?
I'm here to support the project. I think it's an asset to Prescott. I mean, one of the things about Granite Park is very underutilized for what it is. And I think anything that enhances it is a plus for the community. I've done mosaic projects at the library and by the Granite Street Garage. And, you know, when I look at this one, I think it's very charming. I see nothing wrong with the way it's being done. You want to use the small tiles because it's a round surface. You can't use big flat tiles on a round surface. It doesn't go round. They have to be small pieces. And if you look at the two that I've done with the mural mice, and if you look at the one that Juanita did 12 years ago, 2 blocks away, there's very small pieces. None of them have been harmed. There's no graffiti. Nobody's pulling off the tiles. And I just think that this is something that adds to Prescott. And you can never have too much public art. And this is very well done, and I think it's a lovely project.
What are these for?
Checkers.
Oh, so we can play checkers.
Yep, so you can play checkers.
That,
Yeah, I mean,
I like that
things
star
that don't have
and
people's
this
last names on it, kind of thing.
I love art. I've always loved art. And a community without the artist, a community without the spirit of art, is a dead community to me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I think that's a very clear and concise point. What is the center or the spirit, if you will, of a community, if not its people? And how else should we expect the spirit of our community to be represented within that community, if not through the expression of those people, through the vehicles of things like both public and private art?
I think it's high time that we really do push for a public art policy so that we're playing on the same playing field and these kinds of inconsistencies don't keep coming up.
Definitely, and I don't think that, well, as far as this project is concerned, we weren't meaning to start a conflict. It wasn't like we were trying to push any buttons or push any agenda. So if we did have something to work together on, that probably would have saved a lot of this hassle and we could have finished by now.
Yeah, I just see that it's really clear that there is no policy, and so whatever the whims are of the people in power, that's what gets pushed through.
Yeah.
So
Despite
I think this is really great to set up some city policy around art and who decides what is good and what isn't.
And if it was up to me, the way we've been doing our project, it takes a little more time, it's a little more difficult, but when you ask the whole community to participate in it, and there's people that choose not to, that's okay. But the people that do choose to should be acknowledged for their support and such. So the best kind of public art policy I can imagine is when the whole community has feedback into it and works with the city every step of the way, but not to be done behind closed doors by a private group of people.
Exactly. And the cool thing about this bench is that it was rather unplanned. I mean, all the art you see was completely done by passerbys who said, oh, I'd like to put something on there. So it was open to everybody. And there's no reason for anybody to feel like they weren't represented or they didn't know about it or that something was done behind their back, because it was open to the community. So, if anybody had an issue with it, I invited them to come put their perspective on it too.
With me right now, I have local artist and downtown mural project director, r.e.wall. Mr. Wall, what is your take on the current situation regarding this mosaic bench in Granite Park?
Well, my opinion is that that of public art as being a spiritual presence in our community, one that without public art in our community, nobody from the outside would be able to look in and see what the values and the contributions of our town are. You see that in New York, you see it in San Francisco, and the public art in Prescott is a great collection of public art. There's hundreds of pieces in this town. In my opinion, some of the best pieces of public art are art that was placed with the community together as a collective. We all learn a lot in the process of placing tiles together. Young and old, rich and poor, all standing together to place a mosaic and public art. It's a fantastic thing. And my opinion in regards to this mosaic project is that every single one of those pieces of the mosaic actually represent one of the people in our community. And when you say, well, you know, small or large, certain tiles on the bench have to be removed, that's removing people's voices in our community. And because we believe that it's a simple matter of a beautiful piece of public art placed with our community, but we do have the right to be representing ourselves in this community in whatever creative and helpful, holistic way that we possibly can. This isn't a negative. This isn't a negative piece of art. This is a positive piece of art, something that contributes to our town, something the city of Prescott never had to put any money into. It was privately funded by the student with a lot of support for our community. And so the removal of a piece of public art means the removal of free speech in our community. And that's something that the very people that on city council that would be against this actually should reconsider and look at it and actually take and come to our aid. We are representatives of the town. They are supposed to represent our community equally and fairly, and because we believe this is a free speech right, I believe that they should come to our defense and help us to support and let this community mural project continue.
Why would the city of Prescott ask for a project like this to be stopped, let alone removed?
And that's the curious thing, because the project itself had the full endorsement of the Parks and Rec, one of two entities that the city of Prescott currently says has the right to choose yay or nay on public art. And everything was all 100%. What made them turn around? Why would they turn around? Pressure. The same kind of pressure that took place at Miller Valley Elementary School when they got enough people to complain about it and then ultimately just tried to whitewash off the story and clean it up a little bit so that they could see a picture that was more to their liking, not the reality, but something to their fantasy. Why was this stopped? I have my suspicions, and some of the things that I've heard and seen give me the opinion, the conclusion that this has been an ongoing problem, but it is now a matter of actually having a cleansing of the diversity movement in our community. This is about our living culture in this community, and it's something that maybe a few people on the council consider to be an embarrassment to the city.
This is Chester Cheddargetter for Eye on the Mice News, reporting live from Granite Park in Prescott, Arizona, this sunny Sunday afternoon.